Hi, I'm Michelle Connolly and welcome to ProfileTree TV. Today I'm so excited to have Claire Shields in from Tribal Branding. So welcome Claire, thank you so much for taking the time to come in
Hi,
to see us
Michelle.
today.
Yes.
So maybe you want to give us a little bit of a background about yourself and your business.
Yeah, no problem. I've got a very varied background. After I finished university, I decided that I still wanted to use the French that I studied at university. So I took on customer service roles in customer service centres, so call centres basically. And I would have done customer support for the likes of McAfee, Antivirus, Hotmail, that sort of thing for their French customers. But sitting at a desk answering a phone was not for me. So I decided that I was going to change jobs. Went into the civil service. Again, sitting at a desk answering a phone, it's just not for myself. So I went into the hospitality industry and I loved it. I worked at Le Mans Hotel and worked for Francis Brady, who is amazing at customer service, and I like to think that I learned a lot from him. So I worked in sales and marketing, I worked in reception, and was in management for a while as well. So for a while, I loved working there, but our business was struggling that my husband was running, Premier Sports. So I thought, right, we're going to give it our best shot and we're going to go together. Unfortunately, the sports side of retail was very, very difficult, but we had decided to buy an embroidery machine to help with our teamwear side of the business. And we very quickly realised that it was going to be a lot more profitable than selling trainers and tracksuit bottoms and that sort of thing. So that's how our business evolved into Premier Print Embroidery, which has now evolved into Tribal Branding. Our main business is still the clothing side, with workwear, teamwear, schoolwear elements. But now we also offer pop-up banners, signage, car graphics, any of those things that we just have fallen into. Yeah. So yeah.
So how did you find that transition from working in the hospitality industry to working in the family business? Because it's a big step.
Yes, it was a very big step. It was a very big step, and it was very difficult at first, especially working with your husband. But
I feel your pain.
Yes, but I loved it. I just loved having something to put my teeth into, something that I just could run into and look after myself and didn't have to question anybody else or ask, is this what I need to do? But yeah, and haven't looked back since.
And I think it is, I think when people move from a very role-based job where you have certain things that you have to do, and obviously your background from coming from customer service and then into hospitality, it's all very structured, but actually then coming into your own business and having that freedom to make those decisions yourself can be very liberating.
Yes, liberating, and as they say, variety is the spice of life. So I was able to, one day I'm working with customers, another day I'm cleaning, another, it's just all of those things rolled into one, and you've just got that freedom, as you say, to take each day wherever you want it to go.
And then you've such a solid background of the customer services and the sales and marketing and processes and operations. Actually having that skill set to bring to your business is amazing too.
Yeah, no, it was great. And we're still finding our feet in that way, and putting our processes and procedures in place. We've noticed we've took on our first member of staff, Emma, last November, so she's nearly a year with us now, and that highlighted just how important it was to have those procedures and policies in place. So I take an order, meet with a customer, take an order. I need to have everything detailed and written down so that Emma knows what's happening, Peter knows what's happening. If there's any queries from customers, everybody's on the same page and we can deliver them. So yeah.
So how did it feel taking on your first member of staff then?
It was really scary. It was really scary, and I found the whole process quite daunting, to be honest. But I had a friend, Greg, who's in HR, and he was amazing. He was able to keep us on the right page. took us through the interview process, made sure that everything was above board, and we actually ended up hiring a family friend, which was also a, do we do this? Do we not? But so far it's worked out really well. So yeah, I'm really pleased.
And as you say, because I think that, especially when you're running a business, it's that first hurdle of when you start to get that first employee.
Yeah.
It's the responsibility that comes with it. As you say, it's the processes, it's everything else around it, and actually can be really daunting, especially when it's not something you've ever had to do before.
Yeah, it's totally never entered my head the amount of work that goes into it, the amount of thought that goes behind looking after someone in your business.
But it's all worked out good, so ready for the next one.
Well, actually, it's funny you should say that, because we've just bought another porta cabin to put on the side of our workshop, and we're going to be making that into a new print area for garments so that we can release space for signage, banners, that type of thing in our current workshop. So we're thinking we need more bodies. Yeah. So yeah, that's what we're looking into at the minute.
Well, you'll be an expert this time. She'll know exactly all the processes and everything that needs to go with it.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
But it sounds like you're going through a real period of growth as well, which is great to hear in current times. Maybe just give us a wee insight into the sort of services you have alluded to some of the products that you offer. Yeah. But what are the key services that you're able to offer?
Key services are printing and embroidery. We also do engraving.
Okay.
So we can do anyone's uniform. We can offer them their signage. We can offer them medals and trophies. We can offer them just any wooden products, glass products, metal products that they might need engraved. So yeah, that's our key areas.
A wide range. And you do that all in your workshop?
We do it all in-house, in the workshop. So yeah.
So it's been a learning curve, I'm sure, learning all these different methods of printing and engraving.
Very much so, especially we were very much garment decoration specialists through embroidery or print until COVID hit. And in lockdown, I started to panic. I was thinking, nobody's working, nobody's going to school, there are no teams playing sport. What are we going to do? So very quickly, we threw together some social distancing stickers for floors, for windows, for walls, banners, signage for places, and that kept us going right through lockdown. It was very much learning on the job, but thankfully we got through it. And in saying that, we also worked with a lot of food companies, such as Finnebrogue, Mash Direct, who were actually taking on employees at that time.
That's right.
In the key industries. So we got good contracts through them that helped as well.
Yeah, and you're right. I think everybody was on that. You're saying learning on the job. I think everybody was on that sort of route and journey during lockdown where they had to look at their business model. Mm-hmm. They had to look at other ways. I mean, not all businesses, but a lot of businesses were suddenly the services that they offered maybe just weren't
what was needed
called
at the time.
For at the time. Yeah. And as you say, like people always need uniforms and people always need workwear when they're in work and in school and playing sport.
Exactly.
But you never think of the impact on businesses like yourself. You think about the restaurants and the bars and the places that had to physically close.
Yeah.
But actually thinking of the supplier side of it and services side of it as well is massive. So being able to pivot and change, has obviously been really, really important to you guys.
It has been brilliant for us, and it also takes you out of your comfort zone and it pushes you to learn new things, which, uncomfortable as it may be at the time, is always a silver lining. We also got our website up and running, which is something that we had dragged our heels on for so long because we kind of thought, do we really need it? And the answer is yes, we really do need it. It's still not 100% done, but we have got our school shops up, we've got our main team shops up, and it means that people can buy those products online when they don't want to come into the store, or just whenever the shop was shut, they just weren't able to. So that has made a big difference to the business.
Yeah, and as you say, back to that, just even the current situation, people not maybe wanting to come out to physical premises, having that other additional option. You've got both. Some people really do want to come and have a chat.
Exactly.
But other people are like, I just want to order online, pay online to get my order. And it probably helps you guys as well that there's an element of automation in there, where you don't have to like spend time having to take phone calls and talk through products. People can actually just see what they want to buy and buy it, and you just go create it and send it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure it's not as easy as that, but
if it were, it would be great. But yes,
but no, I think you're right, and I think everybody has had to look at all their different offerings, back to services they offer, but also how they offer those services. And it's great to hear you being able to pivot and change and get things up and running quickly. And I think it's maybe enabled you to offer more services and grow maybe services that you'll continue to offer because of COVID.
Absolutely. We may need to take a bit more training, because it was very much just let's get this done and what have you. But yeah, I think it's absolutely something that we're going to look into and do a bit of growing on. I do know that there are some businesses in the sector that have been struggling and have lost staff. So there are staff out there who are experienced that hopefully we'll be able to find and recruit.
Yeah, and help you grow.
And help us grow. Yeah, exactly.
And in terms of, obviously, you do sportswear, you do workwear. Are you finding that businesses now, workwear is becoming more important to them? And,
yes.
And why? What sort of reasoning are you getting behind that?
I think so. A lot of places that you go into now, you'll see people in uniform, and uniform just gives the staff and the whole place a sense of identity. It can lay out your culture and the ethics and the ethos behind the business. It sets up the whole feel. People walk in, they know who the staff are. They have a sense of reassurance. Say there was a workman or a tradesman to call out to your house, you feel reassured because you see that that's who they are and that's where they're from. It just gives that sense of identity. So yeah,
and I think too, just even working in different scenarios myself, actually I loved when there was a uniform because it's usually that hassle of having to think about what you're going to wear and what you're going to do and what matches that, and back to that professionalism. People, I think people are more aware as well of information and data, and having to see that visibility of brands, and brand awareness is so important.
Absolutely. And it's visual free marketing. Free, but you pay for your uniform, but you've got people, your staff walking around wearing your brand. And the big companies that we all know of, like Coca-Cola, etc., they're amazing at it. They just have their brand everywhere, and that's how to get known.
Yes. No, and you're right, and it can be so subtle. It's not about having it branded across your back or your chest, but it is actually that subtlety of, okay, yes, I know that that's a staff member, I know what their brand stands for, and you get that whole overall reputational feeling, I think, from seeing something that's well branded and looks professional
and just instantly recognizable.
No, definitely. And in terms of, obviously, you would do a lot of probably embroidered products and what we talked about, sportswear and schoolwear. Have you had to branch out in terms of stuff for COVID? I'm sure you've had to add other products onto your list.
We were doing a lot of personalised items at the minute. A couple of the schools that we work with, they're now adding a PE kit, whereas traditionally primary schools never really had a PE kit. They would just have worn something sporty for the day. Now we're doing like a hoodie with initials on, so that they're all the same, but everybody knows who's what. We're also doing personalised water bottles. Like we can do names on them, initials on them, whatever anybody wants, fully personalised. We're doing personalised face masks, buffs. Some people don't like to wear a mask; they just like to have one of the little snoods that you can pull up and down.
And I think you're right too, especially the masks, going into a shop and seeing everybody very well branded wearing.
Yeah.
Again, because it's quite difficult now going into a shop. You don't know who's a staff member, who's not a staff member.
You don't even know people that you meet in the aisles.
Yeah, so no, I think it's really, really important. And back to obviously running your own business and growth and change. Obviously, communication between you and Peter and your new staff members being really, really key. And how do you ensure that that's happening?
Yeah, we're still working on this. Yeah. It's very, very difficult, and it's something that I hugely underestimated. We have big, massive whiteboards in the office, and as soon as an order comes in, it goes on the board, and you write down what stage. We've got worksheets that go for each job, just to make sure that everything can be ticked off and kept up to date. But yeah, it is. You underestimate just how much everyone needs to know and be totally on board for each of the orders.
Yeah, and I think, as you say, having the staff member come in highlights that even more, because I suppose you and Peter
we always had everything in our heads, and you were doing the job yourself, and he would have done his jobs himself, and everything it was just you, so it was fine. It totally highlights whenever someone else comes in the importance of sharing.
And customers as well. So obviously customer service is really, really important to you, just even from previous roles. I mean, how do you ensure that you're really providing that because it is quite a personalised service when you think about it. It's different than just going into a shop and picking up a hoodie and buying it. Yeah, you're really thinking about how that person's brand translate into different forms.
100%, and you have to meet the person and make sure that you're offering them the right products at the right level, what they're using it for. Be it a hoodie, if it's sometimes cleaning companies are saying, look, we go through millions of these, we just need something to get us through a couple of months. Another person will say, we want really good quality, we want to put the right image across. Everyone has different needs. So I like to meet most people myself at the minute, to talk through what their needs are, and then after that, Facebook communications, WhatsApp, just keeping everything very, very on the ball.
Yeah. And so would you offer advice? I'm thinking, a client comes in, they just want some branded clothing, but they haven't maybe got a full idea of do they want a small logo? Do they want a big logo? Where do they want it? Where's the placement? What products they need? Would you be able to provide that service? And
we would give them advice. I'm very wary of choosing for a customer because that's just it can lead to trouble if you do that. But I'm very willing to say, look, this is what we find works best. This is what our customers have liked in the past, and then leave it up to themselves to make the final call.
Because it can be hard. I'm thinking, you want to branded stuff, and it's even just, I'm thinking it's very subtle advice, what size do you get the logo? You don't want it too big? Yeah. You don't want it too small either.
We always run that past as well. I mean, generally you're talking a left chest logo be 8 centimeters, but sometimes it just doesn't work for certain logos. Yes. So everything that we do before it goes to the customer, before it's even started, it's sent to them and said, look, are you happy with this? And approval has to be given before any work's done.
Yeah, before the printing starts.
Yeah.
So you can really offer a big offering of services around printed
and branded.
Yeah, because I'm thinking, a business that's maybe only starting out, that needs clothing, that needs signage, you can be a one-stop shop almost, for want of a better word for that.
That's the way we're going. Yeah, that's the way we're going. So
so they can come in and say, look, we need signage, we need a car wrap, we actually need our clothes sorted. And you can actually just pull all of those services together and do it all in one place, which is amazing, because there's nothing worse when you're trying to start up a new business and you need loads of branded stuff. And you have to run in 20 different places, and then everybody's got different requirements of sizes and colours and everything else, and you can actually offer that. And then you would have different options around the clothing and stuff that people can choose from.
Yes, absolutely. We have an online catalogue that we can send, people can browse through. There are thousands of products on this site, But very quickly you can whittle it down, and you know where you're looking at once you start speaking to them. So
yeah, it's that process of elimination.
Yes, exactly. And that's another thing that we need to work on is our marketing. We need to get catalogs made, that type of thing, so that we can just give it to people once we know what kind of tier they're on. Like, that's a catalogue for you. You have a look and come back to me after you decide. But yeah.
And how do you prioritise, like a small business owner, how do you prioritise, as you say, the staff member and then the marketing and then the, where do you, is it just as you go along or?
At the minute it is, I have to say. We're going to try and develop that, but priorities always are sales, because that's what keeps your business driving forward. Then the next thing is production and quality, because those are the key things that are going to keep your business that you've already established. And then customer service, customer service behind that, because there's nothing worse than bad aftercare.
Yeah, and aftercare actually is something I wanted to touch on, is very, very important, especially for what you do, because actually you'd be looking at that repeat customer would be very important to you, that they come and get their uniform, but then they get the uniform the next year and the uniform the next year, because obviously it's a product that, you know, is going to have to be replaced. So how important is that aftercare process for you guys?
Very much so, and where possible I like to deliver myself, so that I can grab a chat with them while I'm there, make sure they're happy with it before I go. And I don't want anyone getting on the phone and ringing me up and saying, well, in fact. So yeah, I really like to have everything out there up front before I leave. Yeah,
and as you say, I think back to what we were just saying there about repeat customers is very, very important. Once you've got a customer, you want to keep on to them with two hands, because it's much easier to upsell or resell to somebody that's already happy with your brand, happy with your product, happy with your service.
And as you know, building relationships is extremely important in business, and once you've got a good relationship and there's trust there, I mean, it works both ways. And once you really get to know your customers, you know what they're going to be interested in. Like there's certain customers we have that we see a product and we think such and such is going to love that, you know, and you just know what they're going to want before they do sometimes.
Yeah, and that's great having that, you know, as you imagine as a customer walking in, that personalised service where you can say, look, actually we've got this in, we think it would really suit you guys. That feeling of value and them knowing that you know them well and what they need, I think is you can't buy that sort of customer service or that feeling with those. And so are you working, I know you're based in Cumber, how far reaching are you guys at the minute?
At the minute we sort of stretch towards Bangor, like the peninsula, and into Belfast. That's as far as we're reaching at the minute.
Yeah, I suppose schoolwear is slightly more localised.
It is, but we actually have a school in Larne now.
Wow.
Yeah, but now that we've got the website up and running, we're working with them, and we offer any schools and nurseries 5% cashback. So that's also a good incentive for any of the schools to sign up with us. There's the web shop, and MenCap Centre actually as well have recently signed up with ourselves.
Brilliant. So as say for a school that was interested, they just contact you and you set up, and they just order through the website and get their stuff delivered to
their house.
Yeah, perfect. That's perfect, because you say you can really service any school then in Northern Ireland, whether it be secondary or primary. Yeah, which is really be able to open up, because
we've never really ventured into secondary, because that opens a whole different ball game of blazers and all of that there, which we're not specialists in, so I haven't really gone down that route. We're comfortable with primary because most of them have polo shirts and the wee sweaters, and they just need a wee embroidery, and then their skirts and trousers. But PE uniform, I think for secondary schools could be a goer for us.
Yeah, and as you say, same with the sports teams, they can be really anywhere, because you can actually set up an area on the website to say, look, guys, this is where you go.
This is your page.
Yeah. Go get just. Click the button, pay the money, and get your thing delivered. No, and I think that that really widens your reach, because I just know local buying uniforms for my own children, that you go to the local shop and they only do the 5 uniforms from the local school area.
Yeah.
But I know more and more schools are starting to have that thought process of, would it not be easier to go online?
Yeah.
I know our local shop is great. It's really, really a really nice shop, and it's really well established, but it only opens certain hours in the day.
Well,
so
we are that shop as well.
Yes.
We have that the shop, and we have the uniforms there for people to come and see if they want to. Obviously you can't do it for the ones that are that distance away, but even people that live in Cumber that don't want to go to the shop due to COVID, they can just order online as well, and it's dropped on their doorstep.
Yeah, it makes life a lot easier. It allows you to, I suppose, create a bigger volume as well.
Yeah.
And I'm going to stop asking you loads of questions, but just volume is another one. You've got obviously printers who will be like, no, we can't print anything unless you need to put an order of 500 in or whatever. What way do you guys work with that? Because I know it's probably per customer and it's bespoke. It depends on the product. But
it does depend. But minimums, we don't really have a minimum order. We've got a 4-head embroidery machine, a 6-head embroidery machine, and 2 singles. So I mean, we can do a one-off on one of the single heads, or we can do 4 on. So no, we don't really do minimum orders. When it comes to masks, minimum of 3, because we print them in 3s, that sort of way. But yeah. Which
is quite unique actually, because a lot of printers will say, look, sorry, unless you're buying 20 jumpers or 50 masks, sorry, we can't take the job. So that's actually really interesting.
Yeah, we can do that. We can.
Yeah, very, very interesting. So what's the future for Tribal Branding? What's the big dream?
Well, the big dream is to have 2.5 more members of staff. Mm-hmm. We really want another machinist, someone who can work the embroidery machine, who's experienced. We also want someone who can do the print side of the business, who's experienced. That's not so pressing. Mm-hmm. And a salesperson, another salesperson, because to keep those people busy, we need to keep the sales going. And my role in that, still in sales, but I would like to sort of try and take a step back and introduce more procedures to keep the communication going in the background.
And as you say, as you scale and grow, you need to be sending that salesperson probably further afield, taking meetings that are further afield, that you're kind of doing sales and operations. It's quite difficult as you grow and get bigger customers and everything in to actually be able to, for you to step away for a day to go to, I don't know, Portrush or something.
Exactly.
At least that person can go and do that. So more growth then in the future is where we're going.
That's the plan for the minute. We don't want to get too big. No.
Yeah.
We're still a family business, and that's the way we want to stay.
Yeah. So if anyone needs something from your massive range of products and services that you offer, best way to get you the website?
Best way to get me is the website, tribalbranding.shop, and my email is claire@tribalbranding.shop.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming in today. It's been really, really interesting.
Thanks for putting me at ease, Michelle.
But it's amazing just to see the different services that you have, on offer, and the things and the capacity that you have there to offer these different services to so many different sectors. And as you say, I think there's more and more sectors starting to move in to that branded area of either whether it be products or uniforms or whatever. And I think there is a more growing importance.
Definitely.
And it's great to see that you've pivoted and changed through COVID as well, and it will keep up some of those services that you've now introduced. So thank you so much for coming in today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
An absolute pleasure. That's all from us today at ProfileTree TV. I really hope you enjoyed today's session, and we will see you all again soon.